So it's already 4:01. We'll get started now. My name is Jackie from Nordic Innovation House Singapore, and I will be your host for today. It is my great pleasure to warmly welcome you all to our Nordic Health Virtual Market Entry Program Partner Info Webinar in partnership with Aging Asia. They are the Asia Pacific's first industry alliance on the business of aging. Please note that all the participants will be automatically muted, and we will have a Q&A session at the end. So please post your questions in the Q&A box. This session will also be recorded, and all presentations seen today will be shared with you in the next 24 hours. So in today's agenda, we will be having Riku Makala, board member of Nordic Innovation House Singapore and the Councillor Innovation and Trade Affairs at the Embassy of Finland in Singapore, to do a welcome and intro to our Nordic Health program. And then we have Janice Chia, from the founder and managing director at Aging Asia Singapore, to share more about aging challenges and opportunities in Singapore and Southeast Asia. And then after that, we will have the Q&A. We will also do a small poll, and then after that, with a closing. So without further ado, I will hand the mic over to Riku.
Thank you, Jackie. So I'm Riku from Nordic Innovation House, board member there, and I'm also trade counselor and innovation counselor for Embassy of Finland in Singapore. So I will now give a 10-minute overview of Nordic Market Entry Program that we will be producing together by all 5 Nordic countries: Denmark, Iceland, Finland, Sweden, and Norway, together with Jackie and the team at the Nordic Innovation House Singapore. So I will start with a really short overview of Singapore's healthcare ecosystem, and then give more details about the program itself, as this webinar and the recording afterwards will be a good source for all of you Nordic entrepreneurs and innovators and companies who are thinking about Singapore and Southeast Asia as a potential market for you. So if you are looking for knowledge about the market, if you are already entering Singapore or expanding from Singapore to the Southeast Asia region, this program might be a good fit for you this year, September. Next slide, please. Singapore is a hub, a regional hub. More than 8,000 multinational companies have their regional headquarters in Singapore, including a big number of Nordic companies of different sizes. Singapore is an advanced economy, well-functioning city and a country in a small island with a population of 5.8 million people. Population-wise, Singapore is kind of a familiar size of a market for every Nordic country, because we are in the same ballpark if we look at the number of people to be served with health tech solutions. So Singapore can act as a great reference market, looked after by many other countries in the region. Singapore itself is aging, one of the fastest aging populations of the world, together with some Nordic countries, Japan, and some others. And then Singaporean healthcare and wellness providers are actively seeking for innovative technology-enabled solutions for better healthcare, better services, more efficient processes, and many other needs. Next slide. Singapore's healthcare system itself is a combination of well-functioning public and private side. For primary healthcare, majority of the services are provided by private general practitioners and clinics. And then for secondary and tertiary care, it's mainly public. When we look at the wellness sector, that is mainly privately managed and served, and then continuing care, including community hospitals and nursing homes and other services like those, that is mainly public. So if you're looking at Singapore as a market, you need to figure out which type of organizations you want to target. Next slide. And that is why we are producing again a second time an online or virtual market entry program. It could be thought as a 2 weeks long delegation, but done remotely. So we did a similar program last year, and before that we have been running these types of operations physically with delegations, but times are what they are, so it's fully online. So in September, we will be focusing on prevention, early intervention, and rehabilitation of all health problems and challenges. We are focusing on aging, different aspects of aging, and then big focus is on chronic diseases such as diabetes, cancer, and mental health. For diabetes, Singapore has been fighting a war on diabetes since 2017, and mental health has become a highly important focus area starting last year. Actually, Singapore was planning to establish last year as a year of mental health, but then pandemic came in and it became year of COVID fight more than mental health. And cancer is, of course, a big challenge in Singapore as well as in every other country. Next slide, please. Jackie, can you switch the slide, please? Okay, thanks. So in September, we will offer for chosen Nordic companies, 15 to 20 companies, we will provide webinars where companies will be presenting for key stakeholders of Singapore's ecosystem and some ecosystem players from Southeast Asia also in separate webinars. Then we'll do a lot of matchmaking between the Nordics and Singapore and the region, and companies will have a nice number of meetings. Those meetings will be initiated by audience members. So we cannot promise certain type of meetings because meetings will be based on interest of the audience. Next slide, please. The program, as well as our other operations, are based on identifying the interests of the potential business partners and potential customers in Singapore and in the region. So we have already identified a nice number of challenges, interests, needs of different organizations in Singapore and nearby countries. And some of those, many of those are already included in a long slide deck that you can access through the link provided in the end of this presentation and in all of our LinkedIn and Facebook and email communications that we have been doing lately. And you can always ask us more about those. And then we are doing our best to select that kind of companies from the Nordics for our program that match best for the needs here and could provide solutions to solve these needs and interests. Next slide, please. Currently in the program, we are in preparation phase. Today, we are focusing on understanding the aging scene in Singapore and Southeast Asia. Yesterday, we had a similar webinar where we were focusing on Singapore and digital side of healthcare. And then by the end of this month, please, those who are interested in the program, please apply, because we will choose the last companies for the program end of this month. And we'll publish the selections by mid-July. And then in August, we'll start preparation meetings and preparation webinars in group setting. And in September, 2 weeks of full-blown program production. Next slide, please. Actually, this slide you can read on your own leisure. So let's take the next slide. So this is a kind of a picture of those 2 weeks in September. First week, all the mornings in the Nordics, 3 meetings, 1 internal meeting, and then 2 webinars, each webinar 2 hours in a webinar. For example, 1 webinar will be with a national healthcare group, one of the 3 national healthcare districts. So national healthcare group will invite all their people who might be interested in Nordic solutions into a webinar. Nordic healthcare group will give a short summary of what do they do, how are they organized, what are their interests, and then all of our companies will give a 5 to 10 minute presentation. And then based on those presentations, there will be Q&A and hopefully many requests for meetings by National Healthcare Group people from all of the hospitals and clinics and national centers and management and development teams and such. So that kind of webinars for the first week, and then second week, few webinars and hopefully many one-on-one meetings for the companies. We will do a couple of regional events. One will be giving an overview of Southeast Asia healthcare sector, country by country, and then we'll introduce our Nordic network, each country network in these countries for the participating companies. Next slide, please. Here is a long list of local partners we are collaborating with. If you look at it carefully, you can find their Aging Asia. So Janice will soon talk, representing Aging Asia as a founder and CEO of that wonderful organization. And then there are many others. So this is a combination of public and private and non-profit players in Singapore and few regional organizations. Regional organizations include, for example, Asian Development Bank and UNDP, who we have collaborated with for a long time. And then in the final list of these partners will be dependent on what kind of companies we will have in our portfolio. For example, we will have a wonderful session with National Cancer Center, but if we have no company with solutions specific for cancer, then we will see if we will have the session or not. So in that sense, the layout of the partner sessions is in the flux. But right now, about 80% of these organizations have been confirmed and scheduled for those program weeks in September. Next slide, please. So, Nordics, if you are interested and if you are considering Singapore or expanding from Singapore to Southeast Asia, you should be interested. So then contact your country-specific contact person in Singapore. For Finland, it's me. For other countries, it's different persons, and there will be a list soon. I will be sharing that. And then before that, or immediately right now, if you haven't done it yet, check out our long info deck, which includes a lot of information. It's a lot of slides, and it gives a great overview of what is happening in Singapore, what are some of the interest areas, and how we will run the program itself. And then please apply as soon as possible. Deadline is end of this month. For Finnish companies, please apply by end of next week, because I'm starting my summer vacation then and would love to help to select you before I go to vacation. Anyway, you can apply later on because deadline is end of June. And then you have to be a Nordic company to be eligible. Size doesn't really matter as long as you have resources for doing this. If you are a large corporate, we want to be sure that you can act kind of startup or scale-up company in this program, because most of the companies are SMEs, startups, scale-ups, growth stage companies, and many of them will have rather specific solutions. Some have rather generic solutions at the same time. So if you're a large corporate, you are still welcome, but please talk with us so we can see if the program would be a good match for you. And then, of course, you need to have something that would be of interest here, and you need to have enough resources. Money, we ask small money, and there are small differences in the price tag depending on the country you are from, because we have a little bit different packaging. For example, Finland has some grants that we would like to connect Finnish companies with and so on. And then the biggest resourcing from your side actually will be the time commitment. So there will be a request for pre-recorded short pitch video from you. There will be those pre-webinars in August, early September, and those 2 weeks when first week, all the mornings up till lunchtime, you will be presenting and participating. And the second week, there will be also some sessions. So time commitment is the biggest commitment from your side. Next slide, please. And then if you want to dig deeper of how the program will be run, you can check out a pretty good summary actually made by Jackie about our program last year, last fall. So you can see what kind of sessions we had with which partners and what was included there. And many of them also have slide decks and presentations and other things included. So you can see what happened last year. And actually this year, many of the key partners are the same as last year because they are the core players of the Singapore ecosystem. Next slide, please. So here are the contacts. So If you want to talk with Finland, contact me. Sweden, Ida. Norway, Paul and Susanne. Iceland, Haldor. Denmark, Ule. And then if nobody else is kind of interesting for you, or you can find out who that would be, always you can contact Jackie. So Jackie can help with everything regarding the program and other joint Nordic activities here. Next slide, please. That's it.
Yep.
We hope to see you on board in September, and even if not, please contact us anyway if you're interested in Singapore or the region, because we are happy to help you outside of this program also. Thank you.
Thank you, Riku. So next, we'd like to invite Janice, the founder and managing director of Aging Asia, to share with us more about aging care in Singapore and Southeast Asia, the challenges and the opportunities. Janice, please.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So thank you especially to Jacqueline, thanks to Riku for having Aging Asia on board with this session today. So I'm happy to share some information about what's happening on the business of aging on the Asian front. I'm just going to share.
Yep.
Do I have to change screen?
Mm,
Are you seeing my slides?
yes, we see your slides, but I think you need to put full screen.
Okay. Are you seeing the correct display or the notes?
We are looking at the notes.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, this works.
Okay, great, thank you. So once again, good afternoon. My name is Janice Chia, founder and managing director of Aging Asia Singapore. So we're happy to share with you what's happening on the business of aging and hopefully interest more Nordic companies to be interested in the activities of this region. So if you want to reach out to me after this session, you can use the QR code, scan it, and connect with us via LinkedIn as well. We look forward to meeting as many friends as possible in the region. So just a little bit of a snapshot of what we've been doing together with Business Finland in Asia. So last year, we worked together on the World Aging Festival, where we did a showcase of the Finland companies that participated. There were many partners that came on board. And here's just some preview and insights of the activities that happened, including a Keep Us Happy Hour hosted by the Ambassador of Finland to Singapore, Mr. Antti Vanska. So a lot of these activities are created together with Aging Asia in order to enable access for Finnish companies, and in particular in this instance, to look at the Asian market and to showcase to the elder care sector decision makers in Asia. So apart from networking sessions, we also had virtual exhibition showcases, and we featured many of the Finland companies in the engagement. So here's a short video of what happened last year at the event.
I would like to first congratulate Aging Asia's team for fantastic work in organizing this hybrid event. It has been challenging, I think, given the COVID-19 situation, but I think the continual focus and the excellence of the team and bringing together, I think, the slate of not just the speakers, but I think sharing good practices across the world, the focus on aging and the importance of that, both from the economic standpoint, but social, and national standpoint is really, really important.
I think it's been quite rewarding all the same. We may not see so many of our friends here physically, but we are still connected, I think, on the internet. They are viewing in, and I'm getting more messages than in the past. It's been quite rewarding that way, and we are reconnecting, but in a slightly different way.
all know, this year is exceptionally challenging, and I'm happy to see this festival to come in place, even in a virtual format. I think it's been very successful. From what I hear, the Finnish companies, there's a group of Finnish companies involved, more than 10 companies. They are happy to be there, present their know-how, knowledge, and there is a lot of potential, a lot of expertise we have in Finland, and I'm happy to show the world what we have in the area of aging.
If we are going to address what I think is a challenge as big as climate change, it really requires a whole of society effort. It requires everyone to get together and say, how are we going to make a better future? And it's entirely within our capability and our capacity to create 100-year lives. And I think that is through forum like Aging Asia and World Aging meetings that this happens.
What we're looking at in Asia Pacific is the potential of the aging population. So what is this potential? How much is the market? How big is it? It's US 4.56 trillion as projected in the 4th Asia Pacific Silver Economy Business Opportunities Report. So this report not only looks at the market potential of the aging population, but it also covers interviews and observations by key market leaders and the landscape across 15 Asia Pacific countries about what is the projected consumer spending. And consumer spending in this new silver economy does not just refer to expenditure on healthcare, but it also expands beyond that into what older people, the new generation of consumers, are willing to spend on. So that includes things that help with health, enablement, independence, dignity. So Aging Asia is an independent network, and what our vision is really to change the future of aging in Asia Pacific. This is how we support some of the companies with access into the aging sector, and these are some of the programs that we run, including industry training, strategic partnerships, and market intelligence. And what we do is also support the activities of what the Nordic network is creating too. Our reach across is 12,000 over 60 countries looking at the aging sector. This is our International Advisory Board, which brings you access directly to many of the key elder care decision makers in Asia Pacific. So if you were looking to try to have direct access to market your products and services, participation in the Nordic program and in collaboration with Aging Asia does provide some of these direct access. And why do we do all this? Because the new generation of older people that are aging have a different mindset towards aging. They are changing the way they think about it. So instead of just traditional approaches, which focuses on filial piety and looking after our elders and doing things for them, the new generation is looking for a better way to be enabled, hence our values of age with laughter. So what can we do in terms of products and services that enable more older people to age independently, be happier, supporting them with the right products and services for aging in place. So that could include the latest mobility products, the latest assisted living, smart aging devices, smart living devices, anything under the sun that you think will help an older person to live a happier life with the support of these new products and services that you are developing. So let's look at the market potential, because Asia Pacific is huge, $4.56 trillion by 2025. And what is supporting this? For example, in Singapore, currently there's 1.5 million people aged over 60. By 2030, that will be increased to 1.8. And then by 2040, that will increase by over 2 million people. But let's also look at the other supporting regions in the area that support this growth. So we have Hong Kong, we have Indonesia, we have Taiwan, we have Japan, we have China, India. But what are some of the key areas that are very fast in rapid development in these days? We can tell you for sure that we're looking at countries such as Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand. These are some of the key countries that are showing a lot of development and activity in the aging market. So, don't just look at China and Japan, because these are huge aging economies. The point of this map also is to show all of you that there's tremendous potential outside of China and Japan as well. So aging in Asia does not mean that you only look at China, Japan. We would like you to also draw your attention to these other neighboring countries that make up Asia Pacific, because that's where the overall market potential of 4.56 trillion with over 600 million older people will come from. And I will also explain to you some of the key trends that we are observing in this particular area. So some of the key trends, we have quite a number of trends, but for today's discussion, I'm just going to highlight a few. One of them we look at is the business of dementia. Products that support older people in the stage of measurements, especially cognitive memory, cognitive assessments, and supporting people from mild dementia to moderate dementia to severe dementia. All these three categories provide different market opportunities out there. Second trend that we look at is the business of care technologies. With what's happening with COVID-19, we are observing a rising interest for seniors to look at being more independent. They are willing to use the technologies, and COVID-19 has actually accelerated this technology adoption. So more than ever before, seniors are being taught how to use technology to help them with their healthcare needs. So from monitoring, from assessing their pharmaceutical medications for chronic disease, and also to using telehealth apps in order to visit the doctor. So these are all going to progress with them as they age. So increasingly, they'll be more and more willing to use these care technologies. Secondly, also is the other market for care technologies, which will be the care operators themselves. So they are looking for new technologies that will support them so that they can reduce some of that heavy lifting work. And some of the technologies that we've seen emerge include companies with infection control management, companies that help with delivery of the products from one end of the nursing home to the other end of the nursing home. Then there's also the mobility devices and increasingly also furnishings for the care sector. The next trend we look at is, let's say, the business of healthy aging. And that means that more older people are being more aware of their dietary needs, especially with the fast aging baby boomer population. So this baby boomer population is going to drive that change. Why? Because unlike different generations, baby boomers are better educated, they're better traveled, they're more aware of how to age in better health, willing to read up, willing to try out new technologies, products and services in that area. So they're going to try to stay healthy as long as possible, maintaining their health longevity. The next trend we look at is fun rehabilitation. So many companies also, including those from Japan, we've seen them enter the market with fun games. So games that will help older people engage more, exercise more, participate in rehabilitation so that they can move their limbs more. They have put all these rehabilitation activities into fun rehab. So fun rehab is really about the gamification of the exercises for the seniors population. Another trend I'd like to highlight is, of course, loneliness. As a result of COVID-19, we've seen many seniors face situations of loneliness. It's an increasing challenge, especially even after vaccination. Many seniors still do not want to leave their homes, but because of this, it's also creating a market opportunity. So how can your product or service help seniors with this situation of loneliness, reducing social isolation for them? The last trend, just to briefly highlight to you, is the business of remote healthcare. And this is about providing the services to them outside of the hospital. They are able to access these services remotely. The hospital at home model will be increasing in trends as well. In Singapore, let me give you a brief outlook of our healthcare system. So on the hospital front, we have primary care and we also have hospital care. Primary care looks at the polyclinics, the GPs, the family medicine clinics, the community health centers. The hospital care refers to the general hospitals, the specialty hospitals. And in Singapore, increasingly, we have increased the number of community hospitals, which is the step-down care. So it's used after a client has a severe health operation, it requires the 24-hour services. After that, he might reduce down the care into a community hospital where he goes through a period of rehabilitation actively before he is discharged into a nursing home or at home. So this allows the hospitals to relieve their beds to more serious cases and then allows the community hospitals to take over. So community hospitals lie between the hospitals as well as the home sector. So either you go back home or you go back to or you move to a nursing home. So how do we bring the care into the community? One of them is after the community hospital stage, it then goes into center-based services. So elders who live at home, they can access a center for some services. Or the other way is after the community hospital, they can access the residential-based services, which is the nursing homes. And the other alternative, of course, we're trying to promote aging in place. So we're trying to look at more home-based care services where home nursing, home therapy, hospice, home care can all be delivered to the homes, enabling more people in Singapore to age in place. These are some of the community care facilities outlook in Singapore, the number of facilities that we have. Community care facilities in Singapore are really looking for products that help with active rehabilitation programs, activities to keep the seniors engaged. Let's look at the number of hospital beds outlook. In particular, I mentioned earlier the community hospitals. So community hospitals add to help to support the hospitals in their main beds availability. As we grow and as the population ages, we are going to be requiring more and more nursing home beds for a fast aging population. But in order to support that, what we want to do is also try to promote more aging in place services, home care services, home therapy services to complement the availability of the nursing homes. So in future, we do see a trend that people will move to the nursing homes much later towards the end of life stage. And, when they really require the 24-hour care. But before that, as much as possible, we hope that more people can age at home. Singapore also has an active aging strategy. So we have a master plan to enable more Singaporeans to age actively. So in Asia Pacific, let's look at some of the countries with the biggest aging potential that we've seen in the map earlier. So we look at China, Singapore, Japan, Australia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand as the top few countries with the biggest aging market potential. Then the most immediate opportunities, apart from doing residential care services, there's also home care services, training. So if you provide training services for the care sector, that's going to be in huge demand. The delivery of senior housing communities. We are seeing more and more senior housing facilities being built in regional countries. So for example, in our region, we have Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, that's increasing in senior housing communities that are being delivered. So we want people to age and live long, but aging and living longer with better health. So how can we prolong the healthy life years for them? So all these and more, we hope that Nordic countries will be interested in participating in the program as shared by Riku earlier. And also in addition, we hope that more Nordic companies will consider looking at the upcoming programs that we have, including the World Aging Festival. And of course, for more Nordic companies to take part in the Elder Care Innovation Awards, and we hope that they'll be recognized in the awards coming up in this year in Asia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Janice. Really very insightful about aging in Asia, and also the World Aging Festival is something that we can look forward later in October. So Now we actually have a short poll that I'll be launching. It's basically for the attendees. So it's more like if you're interested to be connected by Aging Asia, whether it's a yes or no. And if you are interested in our NIH-SG Nordic Health Program in September, and also if you are interested to be contacted by the Nordic country specific representatives from Singapore. So I'll keep the poll open while we continue to speak with Janice and in terms of the questions. So I think we do have a question that was submitted by one of our attendees. So to Janice, what is your take on the challenges of getting the older generation to adopt technology that enables a better aging lifestyle?
Thank you. Great question. So I think that one of them is, of course, the access and willingness to use the technology. Due to COVID-19, this willingness has increased. So before COVID-19, the technology was a nice to have. Getting on board using the technologies was, optional. But after COVID-19, I think many seniors have realized the importance of technology to help them to stay connected, to stay safe, to be able to access their key medical and rehab services. So because it's now changed from a nice to have to a need to have, I think that has also changed the attractiveness of using the technologies. And in the same way, it's made it more interesting for companies to want to engage in the aging sector, because now you have a very receptive group of older people who want to use the technologies. Of course, there's going to be some barriers to access, and barriers to access, some of them are mitigated by what the government is doing, because the government is also actively trying to get seniors on board with new technologies. There are programs available out there. Singapore has the National Silver Academy actively teaching seniors how to get online. So in many countries, and not just Singapore, I believe that the governments are looking at active aging strategies and the use of technologies for seniors. So I would say the market is quite ripe now. Two other things I think could be improved on this. One thing would be access for all seniors to have laptops. I think laptops would be great. Not just students need laptops. I think seniors will need laptops as well. And that could be provided as a community effort or fundraising effort in future, or maybe for Apple to offer a massive discount for seniors to access laptops. But the second thing is access to broadband, because we all want seniors to use the technologies, but cost of broadband and availability to get the broadband will be a barrier. So I think it's about increasing the affordability of technology gadgets for seniors, and then also enabling them to access the broadband, because there's no point in having the best technologies out there if the bandwidth of a certain region or for the senior is difficult to access. So I think that's probably two of the possible barriers.
Thank you, Janice. So we have another question. So who buys technology solutions for nursing homes or home care, and do they have financial resources for it?
So I'm happy to jump in to answer this question. So for the nursing homes in Singapore, the nursing homes do have access to funding available by the government, especially if the technologies are able to improve efficiency, improve productivity, reduce manpower, help with infection control management. These are all areas that we are able to, we have seen and nursing homes are able to get funding for. And what is required usually is that there's some pilot studies that have been done on these use of technologies. So for example, some of the more expensive technologies like robotic bathtubs have been used and implemented, purchased by the nursing homes in Singapore. That's with the help of some funding as well. And this is possible because nursing homes are able to prove that, by using this certain technology, you are able to help with that manpower deployment. It's going to help the staff in the nursing home have more time for personal one-on-one interactions with the seniors. So these are all areas that helps with helping to access that. So I think I've kind of answered that question. The decision makers of the nursing homes, yes, the CEOs can decide together with their team. So usually it's not done in isolation. It's usually done with a team that evaluates within their homes on the viability of that particular product or service. And then if there's possibilities or if the cost is high, there are opportunities out there to access the funding as long as we can prove the productivity factor.
Great. Thank you so much, Janice. One more question that we have. What is the role of Agency for Integrated Care, AIC, in the national ecosystem?
So AIC, is an agency especially to look at the long-term care strategies for Singapore. They do look at what are the product innovations available for the market. They look at what are the care services available for seniors in the market. The care services that they look at, it's on an ecosystem approach. So they look at, on the side of aging in place, what are the home care services, the rehabilitation providers that support that ecosystem. Then they also look into the long-term care where it's nursing homes. How do nursing homes provide the services to look after the seniors? So it's really looking at the long-term care directions and the services available for seniors. They also look at helping seniors to access some of these services. So they have a program directory available. They have support services available, social development staff available to help with seniors who need to access these services. And then they also engage in training for the long-term care sector to look at how to improve their skill set to look after seniors.
Okay. Thank you, Janice. We have one more question. So we have a bit more time here. So are there any specific general differences between public and private nursing homes?
Great. I think that you will see that many of the nursing homes in Singapore, majority of nursing homes in Singapore will be classified under the non-voluntary welfare organizations, which are called, or they're called the voluntary welfare organizations called VWOs. So this would be more under the public side. Some of them are funded by government, some of them are funded by not-for-profit organizations. And then on the other side of the spectrum, they are the private nursing homes. So of course, in terms of the delivery of services, we would see a difference between public and private, like all products that we have out there. In terms of the size, we are seeing that the ones that are being built recently, we have those in size ranging from 200 to 400, and the biggest nursing home in Singapore is about 1,000 in size. And these range differently. On the private sector, you see one of the newest nursing homes that's being built. It's more of a home style, apartment style for seniors. I think one key difference is the pricing. Of course, we have to look at the pricing model. In terms of quality of staff, I think quality of staff extending both across public and private, we do see a very high quality of staff across both. In terms of activities, I would say that some of the private facilities do have more personalized activities, but however, it's a fee for service type of model. So, the one-on-one attention that's given to that versus more group activities that's being delivered. So I think that's a difference, but both, even the public nursing homes in Singapore do offer to take in private clients. So I think the divide is not so strong, and the difference is mainly with who is the operator behind it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jenny, so much for answering the questions. Let's see if we have any more questions coming in. I know today we have a small group, but thanks for sharing the insights about aging care and challenges and opportunities. So okay, so we have one more question. How are the public services for elderly divided between social care and healthcare providers?
I think I've lost you there with the reception. Can you repeat your question?
Of course, sorry. I think the internet is a bit unstable, but how are the public services for elderly divided between social care and healthcare providers?
So I think that the services for public and private, and are you talking about private and social?
Between social care and healthcare providers.
Okay, so healthcare providers, I refer to the more of the hospitals, and the social providers would be the more like senior activity centers. I think in Singapore especially, the senior activity centers play a very big role. So there are more day services for seniors. So you live at home and you are able to access some of these day activities. So the day activities could be social, it could be, it also could be rehabilitation based. It's also dementia. So some centers also cater especially for those with dementia. Then there are also some centers, senior centers that cater to those with dementia and those with non-dementia. So they are able to integrate both. So there's a variety of range of these day centers for seniors. And I think what the social services provide is that aging in place approach where seniors live at home and then they access the services. Whereas on the public side, we see the focus more on the hospital front, looking after them on a primary care basis.
Okay, thank you so much, Janice. We have like 50 minutes more. If you have any more questions, please use the Q&A box. So is there any other questions from our team perhaps? Or is there any else you'd like to emphasize on, Janice?
I think we've covered it. Riku, anything to add?
Yeah, well, thank you so much. So it was really good overview. And then to learn more, please join our Nordic program and please join Aging Asia event this fall also and connect with Aging Asia Network. So they are the biggest and best network on this topic in Asia and with great global reach also. We have been happy to partner with them. And thank you, Janice, for showing your video. And I saw myself there on stage in your wonderful hybrid event last fall. Thanks for that.
Great.
Okay, so I guess we probably end the session early. Once again, we want to thank Riku and also thank Janice for sharing about our program and also how Aging Asia will also be part of our program this year as a partner. And we look forward to the selection of the Nordic companies in September.
Fantastic. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you and have a nice day.
Bye-bye.